So to understand that is to kind of understand where my life kind of took me and where we are today. So I owned an event planning company when I lived in Denver, and grew that company really, really quickly, ended up selling the company. But I always have like this event planner brain, right? I'm always like thinking of it from the perspective of the event planner. So you have that part of Amy Dix's brain. You obviously have the speaker part of Amy Dix's brain. And then the last part of Amy Dix's brain is marketing. So I had a company, marketing company, still do, for years, mostly digital marketing. But anyway, so if you mush all of those pieces of my brain together, that's kind of what forms and what formed a lot of my success as a speaker, because I was looking at it from all these like different angles. And so I really love to nerd out on the marketing piece of it, because I feel like we're all really great speakers. We can go on a stage, we can wow an audience, we can inspire them, we can lead them, we can change the way that they think, we can transform them, and all that is great. And if you don't have the systems in place after it, that's all where it ends. And so I don't want that to end for you there. Let me share my screen for a moment. I'll walk through this with you. I often say like people speak for three different reasons, primarily, right? So people speak for pleasure. They enjoy it. They'll just do it because they like doing it. They'll speak for profit. And the third one is they speak for philanthropy. So maybe you're somewhere in there. I don't know. If you look at it this way, this is how I draw it out, right? But you either speak for pleasure, for profit, or for philanthropy. And the cool thing is like what we're going to go through today, a lot of times what we go through is very much focused on those who only speak for profit. But what we're going to go through today applies to any of those. And in some cases, you may speak for all three of these reasons at different points, So this will work no matter what the reason is behind your speaking business. This is, let me do this. You might have seen this too. Woo, this is a mountain. That's snow. Bear with me. All right. This is where everyone wants to get to the top, right? Like you think once you get to the top, you plant your little flag at the top and you made it. And most speakers think that this is the actual speaking engagement. So this is the speaking engagement. You made it, you got the stage, you did your thing, and you're rocking and rolling, right? But in fact, that is not the tip. That is not the top of the mountain. When you do your speaking engagement, that's actually like right here. Everything else that will help you get to the top is everything that follows from the moment that you walk off the stage. So if you want to get to the top of the mountain, you have to have that follow-up sequence. You have to have everything after you speak on stage all really dialed in. And so that's what we're going to go through. If you want to be an all-star speaker, there's 5 points that you want to consider. Okay. In my mind, all-star speakers do these 5 things really, really, really well. The first one is they express gratitude. They're always thankful, no matter what speaking engagement it is, no matter what opportunity. I often say this differently. I often say that they lose their ego. A lot of speakers have pretty big egos. Get it? Let's lose the ego and express more gratitude. This shows that to the planner that you're professional and that you know how to show courtesy, right? So the whole like be kind movement, be kind, show courtesy, be kind. All right. The other thing that all-star speakers do really, really well is they build relationships. And what that shows and does for you is it opens doors for future collaborations. If you think that this is where you're going and this is the stage, then likely you're not doing this very well, right? If you understand that the middle of the mountain is your stage, then you understand the importance of building relationships beyond the stage. The next thing that all-star speakers do really, really well is they gather feedback. I know sometimes it's really hard to ask for feedback, but when you do this in the right way, what it allows you to do is it allows you to improve for your future talks. If you don't constantly improve, you'll stay at the same level as a speaker throughout your entire speaking career. You may jump a couple of times because you might like get lucky and kind of get an opportunity, but you won't be able to sustain that. So always gathering feedback, always getting, you know, what could I have done better? What would you have liked to have seen? All that will help you. Okay. The next thing
Amy, so who do you suggest getting the feedback from? The planner or just anyone you can? I mean, I'm just wondering.
Yeah, I mean, so you've got kind of three perspectives, like beforehand, right? So you can get feedback before your speech from different peers. And then after your speech, you can get feedback from the audience or from the planner. And you'll kind of see this when we go through when I break down the follow-up sequence, and how to get it from the planner at least. But yeah. And like if you're getting it from the attendees, right? Talkadot's a really great tool that we've talked about that can get you some of that feedback. The other thing that all-star speakers do really, really well is they maintain visibility. This is probably, I don't know, I feel like when I look at a lot of speakers, like they take the speaking engagement and then they kind of just peace out, you know, they kind of like disappear. Like, thank you, that was great, that was awesome. You'll see like a really high tick maybe on their social media for a while, but then that's it. And there's nothing else after that. So sorry, let me just let these people in. So you have to constantly maintain your visibility, and you'll see this in the sequence how I do this to maintain visibility for not just like 5 days, but for up to 2 years, maintain visibility. All right, so maintaining visibility will help you really just to stay on their radar, on the event planner's radar. And not only for them, their radar, but for their referrals too, in order to make referrals for you. They're probably less likely to make referrals for you if they forget that you exist, right? But if you can constantly stay in front of them, then you'll get those because they're always thinking about you. And the last point of being an all-star speaker is leverage networking. Now this can help you with the attendees, which they can also help you for future events. This could help you for partnerships, other collaborations, and of course, other speaking opportunities. So there's so much more beyond the stage than just another speaking opportunity, right? Use Stephen as an example. I think, Stephen, I'm going to use you an example because you just came to mind. If I get some of these details wrong, you can correct me, Stephen, if you can. But essentially, actually, I had 2 examples. Stephen was booked for, I think it was HR.com, or maybe it was GovLoop. Anyway, and after that, then became a collaborator for them for content, for like blog posts and some of the stuff maybe for their newsletter, but then provided content after the fact. That helped him also maintain visibility, right? Because he's constantly in front of that audience well beyond the stage. I think I have that right, Stephen. It's been a while since that all happened.
Yes.
I did. I got it right. Okay.
Yep.
I never want to say something that's like incorrect, you know? So, okay. Awesome. We had another instance with a speaker who we booked, and they killed it on stage. I mean, you know, just being the professional that they are. And they actually now serve on this group's board as a board member. So there's so much after the stage that can happen. That is just, it's not just about speaking engagements, right? It's about building your business. It's about saying yes to the opportunities. And those opportunities might look a myriad of different ways. Okay. So hold on. There's more people coming in. Okay. So let's look at the follow-up sequence. Now, this is my follow-up sequence. I don't know, maybe next week, maybe not, but in another coaching session, I'll actually show you. I'm happy to like show you what this looks like in a CRM system, like all built out. But for now, let me show you kind of the overview of the follow-up system, what it looks like. And as I show it to you, I want you all to be thinking about ways that this works for you, like this is meaningful for you. And other things that you might be able to put into it, right? So like I might say, invite them to my podcast. Well, maybe you don't have a podcast, so you can think, okay, well, what's something else I can do, right? So I'm going to show you what my sequence is. Most of it you can just plug and play. Some of it you might go, oh, you know, that doesn't work for me, but I could do this, right? So just kind of keep an open mind as we go through this. All right. So you speak and you kill it on the stage. Like you're amazing, you killed it, you're walking off the stage, you're on this super big high, and then what? What happens? Immediately after my talks, the day of, while I'm still there, one of the things that I do immediately is I give the organizer, whoever hired me, a thank you gift.
A what? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
That's okay. A thank you gift.
Oh, thank you gift.
Yep. Thank you gift. All right. So this is day of. Am I right? Okay. Now for us, I'll show you what my thank you gift is, or a very common one. But with the thank you gift, immediately after giving the thank you gift, by the way, I ask them like, what are your thoughts? How was that for you? So I'm asking for feedback as well. And if, you know, as they're explaining, I'll say something like, do you mind if I get your thoughts on video? Like, do you mind if you share that with me really quick? I'll just do it on my phone. And sometimes, yes, sometimes they're nervous, you know, they're like, no. And then I'm like, no problem. You know, if you just send me an email or something with your feedback, I would love it, you know, just like love it. So I often use the word thoughts instead of testimonial. Because if I ask someone for their thoughts, that's a lot less pressure than like, hey, would you mind giving me a testimonial? I'd really appreciate it. This is just my language. This is how I use it. So that's what feels right for me. Okay. Thank you gift. Here's like a very common thank you gift that I'll give. So sometimes we have these, we just don't have any embroidered right now, but sometimes we have these embroidered that say choose happy, which is our logo, right? Choose happy. And then inside it, I'll have a thank you card. We'll do like our choose happy shirts. So I'll have a choose happy shirt for them and just a copy of 7 more days. So it's all stuff that I have available at any time. Most of the time I have books and shirts on site anyway, because I'm selling them anyway, which is even better, because you can get sizes and colors and just ask them what it is that they prefer. And I always have books with me. So if you're an author, I would absolutely always have books for you or with you, even if even if you don't have a book signing or selling of your books as part of the event, still have, like, you don't have to bring a box of them, but if that's not part of it, I'd still bring like 5 or 10 books, because you likely can either give them away or sell them. I tend to give more things away if it's not like a formal selling, but always have copies of your books with you at the event. Okay, so that's what our thank you gift looks like. You could think of some that you have available to you that makes sense for you. So that's the day of. I just show up with all that stuff. And then from there, usually like 1 to 3 days, I try not to bombard them like right after the event. Usually they're traveling home, or they might still be, they might, just because I spoke on Thursday doesn't mean the event necessarily ended, right? So usually about 1 to 3 days after the event, I send a thank you email, and I use my 3+3 formula, and I'll show that to you in just a second. All right. So 3 things that I say in the email. Number 1, I show appreciation. Number 2, I acknowledge some sort of moment that happened, like really great moment that happened at the event. Thank you so much. Loved it when that one woman in the back screamed out and said, woohoo, whatever, like just like a moment that you both witnessed, and can share a connected moment together. Or maybe they didn't witness it and you can just share a moment, hey, I meant to tell you after the event, so-and-so came up to me and gave me a big hug, and that meant, the world to me. Your attendees are amazing. Your members are so thoughtful. Something like that. Okay. And then you're going to, if you didn't get their thoughts, right, recorded, you're going to ask them again if they're willing, if they'd be willing to share their thoughts or what they loved about the speech. So ask, let's say, thoughts. And also anything else that you agree to. If you watch our speaker strategy training, we have that worksheet where there's like 50 different asks that you can make, or 50 different assets that you can ask for when you're like before the speech, or when you're working with the event planner, and or after the speech. And so if you've identified any of those, now's the time to ask for those too. Maybe they were photos, maybe they were a video, maybe it was a letter of recommendation, maybe it was a certain number of referrals, whatever that is. That's when, this is where I ask it in this email.
And where did you say that is, and what?
The speaker portal, it's called Speaker Strategy. Okay, then the other thing that I put in that email is to further engage. So I give up to 3 ways, not more than that, it's too overwhelming, 3 ways to continue the conversation. Okay, these are 3 ways that I think we could continue the conversation. If you're interested, and this is where some of your programs and things that you sell that make sense for what you spoke about is just some suggestions, right? You're not hard selling them. You're just saying, hey, here's a few ways I think that, we can continue this conversation and make sure the attendees continue to get momentum in whatever it is that you talk about, in their financial life, in their mental health, to make sure in their careers, like whatever it is, right? And so those, I then provide 3 different ways that we can continue the conversation, up to 3. Sometimes I don't even have 3, depending on who the audience is. So, all right. So I send that email. Okay. And then from there, about 5 days out, I automate a lot of this, and I can show you guys that in a different training, but on how this is put into the CRM. I do like a takeaway video for the attendees. And I'll explain that in a second. So takeaway video for the attendees. Your takeaway video for the attendees is really just another value video. Let me write that there, value video. Somebody can tell me how beautiful my handwriting is later. So some sort of value video, and look, you're recording it, you're sending it to the event planner. Okay, well, let me go through, I'll go through the tech piece in a second. And they may or may not share with their attendees, but hey, thought that this I recorded this video for your members or for your attendees. If you do any kind of follow-up newsletter and want to include it, awesome. Like, I just do it, I don't ask. If they want to include it and showcase me, it takes me about 2 minutes to record the thing, then great. If they don't, then that's fine. Then it was 2 minutes, but they also understand that I still care about continuing the conversation and about what my message was for their audience, right? So I just do it and I send it as a value. You can do this on, because I feel like this is the next question. You can do this on Loom. I mean, you guys are all experts right now. Many of you had to do this for MPI. You can do it on SendSpark. BombBomb is another really great one. You can record it on Zoom. But then I would probably upload it to YouTube, unless you're using like maybe SendSpark or Loom, don't send them the Zoom link, in other words. Or a Dropbox link or a Google link, right? So make sure it's uploaded somewhere. So upload it to YouTube, or give them, if like SendSpark and Loom, and maybe I'm not as familiar with BombBomb, but I think it allows you to have like a landing page feel to it. So that's fine too. Okay. From there, sometimes I combine these two, but I'm going to separate them right now because I have them separate, but sometimes, just depending on the feeling, I'll just combine this. But anyway, it is, do you know? Do you know of, this is like a week out usually. It's usually right, like the same day. Like, so if I spoke on a Wednesday, it's usually like the following Wednesday. Do you know of any other events that could use a talk like the one that I gave? Do you know any other planners that are looking for speakers? Do you know? That's it. Like I said, sometimes I'll combine this one with this one, but not always. All right. I left one thing out here in between here, on this one, on the takeaway video, also not in the email, but like before I send the email, I'll actually give them a LinkedIn review. Cindy was so easy to work with. What a joy it was working with her as an event planner. She really made the event a tremendous success. Give them some sort of review. Or you can do this, invite to podcast if you have a podcast or a show. Basically anything you can do to give back to them that sets them as the authority, that sets them as the expert. It's almost like you want to flip the roles. It's actually really good. I should say that, flip roles. Okay. You with me so far? We're only a week out. And I said we're going to go like almost 2 years. It's not that complicated, I promise. Okay. That's really it from there. You know, if like initially. So as the relationship continues, great. If you think of them, great, continue that on. From an automation standpoint, or like, this is my process standpoint, I really leave them alone after that. And then 6 months after the engagement, right? Why 6 months? Like, what is happening 6 months after the event?
They're planning their next event.
Correct. They're in the process of planning their next event. Sometimes they start planning right away, but 6 months out is a really good timing of when they're starting to either talk about or they're in the throes of the details of their next event. And if you even have that information, then I would just adjust this. Like, if you know that they're starting to plan at a certain time, then adjust this timeline. Now, before I go into this next piece of it, sometimes events will have you back year after year. A lot of times they won't. They've already seen you. Their members have already seen you. So they're looking for something else, maybe. So understanding their business, understanding who their members are, if they do like a turnover or it's like a public event, then your chances are much higher than if it's the same members every single year. So what you want to do is you still want to be able to provide value for them, right? Because you're building the relationships and you are maintaining your visibility as well. Is I send just a really simple, can I recommend? Hey, I know, your event is coming up. Can I recommend any speakers for you? What are you looking for? What's your theme this year? What it does is it allows you to gather information about their event, about their theme, because you might have something that's a little different that you can tailor. Maybe you gave a talk on how to up level your career, the first one, and now they're looking for something that is completely dialed in. And you can also do that, right? So you can confine your message and be like, oh, that's amazing. We talked like career high level. If you want to talk about that, if you want to talk about the throes of middle management, like, that's my forte. I would love to be able to come back for that. It might set you up, it might not. Regardless, you can recommend other people if you know anyone else within that theme, right? So I always just offer, can I recommend any speakers? What are your theme? What are you looking for? What do you think is, here's another question I ask often. What do you think is going to be the most difficult topic to find someone for this year? I ask that a lot. I ask that a lot for you guys, but yeah. All right. So can I recommend? Let it go from there. And then if you can make a recommendation, I just make a straight introduction. 9 months after that, I do a thought of you. I like to tie, hey, I just thought of you. Hey, just was thinking of you. I like to tie it into a piece of content if I can. Like, hey, I saw this and it made me think of you. Right? So whatever, you could do something like, if you automate this, you could do it so that it's always going to be applicable. So it might be to the event industry or, something along those lines. Or it can be relevant to their industry, some sort of article or content. Now you might have to go look for it, right? When you get the reminder, like, hey, it's time to send the thought of you email, like, oh, okay. So like, what is important to them? Oh, I just came across this and I just thought of you. Another thing that I've done, so it could be existing content. Another thing I've done in the past, is I've produced, it could be your content, I've produced content. Hey, I just wrote this article, I posted it on my blog, or hey, this article was published on Forbes that I wrote, and I thought of you because I thought you might be interested in the content of it. If you have nothing, I still send something out. Hey, I was just thinking of you, wanted to say hi, hope all is well. right? Just, I thought of you. You were on my mind. You were in my brain. One year. Whee! Good luck. Okay, I know your event is coming up. Hope it's a massive success. I still think about that event from last year and how well it was put together. Good luck on another successful year. Depending on the response here, actually depends on my timing here. But generally speaking, 1.5, another 6 months later, I just say, can I help? Hey, you're still doing that annual event? You have any events coming up? Is there any way that I might be able to help you? Do you need anything in the category of happiness? Is there anything specific, or whatever your topic is, right? Is there anything specific that you're looking for? So can I help? All right. Whew, that's it. Super simple, right? It's like 1, 2, 3, that's it. If I look at this from this perspective, how many we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it might feel like a lot. I don't know if it feels like a lot for you or not. To me, it doesn't. But you can set up your system so that it's not a lot. You can set up your system so you don't have to remember these things. At a minimum, you can, I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. At a minimum, you can set up your system as just reminders, right? So you don't have to automate everything. Again, remember my 3 brains. So one of them is a marketing brain. So it just kind of automatically goes there. But that doesn't have to be the case for you. Okay, thanks, Amy. Is Eric still on? No, love the content, have to leave, no problem. I think you already left. Chris, what CRM system do you use? I use Go High Level or High Level. But you can use whatever. I just, yeah, I say that with like a really big open breath because I feel like when I tell people that they think that they have to go get that system. And I'm to tell you, whatever system that if you're currently using one, this is pretty elementary. This is pretty standard. So it would be able to handle what I just did. Again, on a future call, like I can show you all of the automations and the workflows and how I have it all set up. So it all just rolls. And then you can kind of, copy that and make it your own. So, Dr. Laverne, we had a whole coaching session on Takodot. So yes. And if you shoot me an email, I'll send you the link. Actually, let me just write it down to that particular coaching call if I can find it. I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Many of our speakers give us their Takodot leads. And then we follow up with them. Those are for stage side leads, which is not necessary. This is not the follow-up sequence that I just went through is not necessarily the follow-up sequence for stage side leads. This was a follow-up sequence for the person who hired you for the event. So yeah, that's who asked about the Takodot? Mark. Yes. Is the Takodot session in the speaker portal? Should be in recorded coaching calls, but let me double check. And I'll let you know. Or if somebody's in there right now, you can tell me. It would say Takodot on there. So if not, we'll get it up there. Okay. Got it. Thank you. You got it. All right. Questions on the follow-up sequence? Okay. Would love to see your automations. Cool. I'm super happy to show them to you. Mark and everybody. So, and we can do it on another, call. I'll show you exactly how it all works.
So Amy, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
If you do end up with the same event a year later,
Yeah.
does it restart your sequence there, or do you still?
Yeah, no, I don't run them through the same sequence. I don't. I guess it just really depends on my conversation with them and, where I think there might be opportunity. So I don't want them to feel like they just went through an automated sequence again. You know what I'm saying? Nan.
Hi, Amy.
Hi, Nan.
Is this good? Is this going to be someplace in our portal, what you went through?
Yes, this will be recorded. I always put the recordings up first in the Facebook group, just FYI. Because
Okay,
then
and
they go off and they get edited and all this other stuff. And so that takes some time. So if you're in the Facebook group, you'll get it there first.
what about anything typed out or anything on typing on what you presented?
Oh, you want like the
that-
screen print of like
Yeah.
what I just went through? I mean, I can do a screen print for you. Sure. With my scribble. Yeah, I can do that. It's nothing fancy, but it'll
Where,
get you,
where would you put that?
but you'll get it what you need. I can attach it in that particular video in the portal.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.